Jason. Thank you for coming on Rachel's Realities podcast. Um, I want to start off offer first with a question. Do you think we are all free in this world?
I don't think any of us are really free in this world, even though a lot of people will say they're free. I think the best we can do is at least be independent and in charge of our own destiny. And I think, and that's still going to come with some sort of restrictions here and there. But the restrictions that we have today obviously are a lot more slave-based, you could
Yeah,
say, compared to what we would encounter, what restrictions we would encounter out in the world as independent, fully functional, empowered adults. I mean, we're very far away from being independent. Most people today will wait in line to decide who's going to steal their money and who's going to steal their freedom, and they think that's a positive thing. So we got a lot of work to do in front of us, but I have confidence we can do it.
yeah. So how do you think they control us? So obviously we've got media, foods. Is it lifestyle? Is it more of a mental challenge, or is it through like a physical way or mentally?
Well, I find through my research, the two primary modalities by which they control this are very simple. And without these modalities, they could not get to the power position where we find them today. So these two modalities are mind control and poison. And then they work hand in hand. And the average person should understand that there is lots of research. I mean, there's one video by a psychology professor. His name's David Hodges, and he was on with Sarah Westall, who's a mind control researcher as well. So they had a very good conversation. And this psychology professor, who's taught at colleges and universities in the United States, clearly explains that the poison person is weaker, and weaker people comply more with mind control. Now, mind control is sort of the primary foundation of mind control is the power of the majority, where you think that there's a bigger group out there. Even it could be two people and you're one person, and that your single idea compared to the two people, they just sort of outman you and outgun you and outpower you. So you're more likely to bend the knee to their particular will or their particular ideas or their particular belief system. So when you combine these two, where you poison the population in everything they do, the weakness is so normalized, and the average person doesn't know that weak people comply more to the group pressure mind control. And when you put these two modalities together, you have a very formative battle plan to go at the world and to control the world. Just use the mind control and poison the people within an inch of their life, and most people will end up complying. Some will not, but you can deal with them in other ways. So this is how we're controlled. Everything's poison, and the media and the government announcements and their newspapers and radio shows, they're the primary mind control wing of the
Definitely.
ruling group.
Yeah, definitely. Like obviously like with the media, especially like through COVID, like with the vaccines, there's sort of like everything's sponsored by Pfizer, the news, sports, everything like that. And it's like with you saying there how people follow, most people tend to sort of go with the majority of people. Like I think they're um a bit too quiet or a bit too shy. Like they can't say what they actually think. And it's sort of like, oh, but if I stand up and say what I really think, then people are gonna like oust you, like a lot of us did through COVID. And then like you say, and we all got called anti-vaxxers, we're gonna kill granny, um, things like that. And it's like, but I think since obviously all the restrictions have been like sort of stopped now, is like a lot more people are starting to wake up to what we were actually saying through COVID, and sort of seeing the damage that the vaccines are doing to people. Um, and sort of like, I know with my family especially, it's like they took the jab, but I sort of like open the minds to everything, and that even they're starting to see like people are dying of heart attacks and strokes and things like that. And like even my own mum and dad are like, oh no, we're not taking anything else now. It's like, it's, yeah, it's sort of waking people up.
Oh, absolutely. And this group sort of factors that in, that it's going to wake some people up, and they've taken a lot of time, as you know, the totalitarian tiptoe, to really fortify this e-prison, this electronic prison around people, so that if they do wake up, they should be easily corralled. But I think this group has bitten off more than they can chew. Historically, evil has a very low IQ, and these people, I believe, aren't exactly human like the rest of us, and they have a very evil side, whether it's genetic or conditioned through various mind control like MK Ultra, but they don't have full access to their neurological system, their mental faculties, what we call the brain. They're very prone to make some mistakes, and they're they've shown a lot of their cards. People are
Yeah,
reacting. So I do have a lot of hope for humanity that eventually there might be a lot more pain to go through,
yeah,
but
definitely.
I don't think it's dark for the rest of the time on this planet. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot more people are waking up now to like what the world's actually about, who runs it, things like that. So obviously, like during COVID, they controlled us obviously with lockdowns and restrictions, with like propaganda of the media, a belief that there's a virus killing everyone. So do you reckon this is part of the way that they do it with repetitive content, or like on the news and like you say through the newspapers, on the radio, things like that?
Well, absolutely, but we must keep in mind that for 20 years before COVID was launched, and it was a psychological operation, there was a lot more purposeful repetition in the media, in the entertainment media, regarding movies like Contagion with
Yeah,
Matt Damon and World War Z with Brad Pitt, I Am Legend with Will Smith, and even I'm 54 years old, Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman, and even 28 Days, which was centered in London, England, I believe, where the man woke up and there's no one else alive in the entire city of London. So these movies were part of the repetitive content to, start formulating this foundation of liarrhea around viruses. And this movie production series that's never ended during my lifetime. It had its own genre. It was literally zombie, virus,
yeah,
vaccine, save the day movies. You could even Hobbs and Shaw with Jason Statham and The Rock was
yeah,
about viruses, Angels and Demons with Tom Hanks. So of course people were like afraid of viruses because all they had was this nonsense about viruses, you know, hurled into their subconscious minds through the entertainment media. So of course they're going to be afraid when it goes live, but a lot of the repetitive content was in play from 2020 forward, but there was a lot more planning to
yeah,
this operation that
definitely.
primed the population psychologically, so they did exactly what the ruling group wanted them to do.
Yeah, definitely. I remember watching there was a film called Songbird, which came out in, I think it was 2020 to be fair, and it
Yeah.
was all about like a pandemic which we were sort of meant to be going through. And it was like basically it was like how, I think it was New York it was based in. And obviously like me and my partner watched that and we were like, right, so you filmed this during lockdown. So obviously your budget's going to be a lot lower than closing New York City of a normal day. But also they've like it was very relevant to the time because obviously it was like the lockdowns, and then it was like where people were contagious, were getting like took away from the homes and stuff like that. And in all like the yellow hazmat suits. And it was just sort of like you say, like you with the repetitive content, it's like people watch obviously films for to get away from normal life. But when you're seeing that and they just think it's an entertainment movie, they don't actually realize the um what the Illuminati, the big boys are actually doing. They're actually plotting in these movies to show what life's actually going to end up being like. And at the end of the day, it's sort of like get get into your minds that that's what they're doing. They're telling you that's what life's going to be like.
Yeah, it's called dormant programming. It is a psychological modality of mind control. The subconscious loves repetitive content because it associates repetitive content with what the bigger herd is saying, thinking, or doing. So those movies basically threw in the first repetition, the second repetition. To be honest with you, it's been shown that you only need two repetitions in the same field, like the same pattern, same
Yeah.
idea, same belief, to change someone's opinion or behavior. And you would have, the average moviegoer or entertainment addict would have seen at least 30 to 50 of these genre zombie vaccine save the day movies. And they're always put in the big cities because that's where they need the biggest reaction. Like London
Yeah.
with the 28 days, it was Cillian Murphy in London. I Am Legend, Will Smith, that was in New York
Yeah.
City. And this, they always will put it in the big cities because this is where the collectivism is the thickest, and you want everybody afraid and programmed in the cities so that their vibration of fear and terror ripples out into the ether, and they sort of move as one unit because they're so dependent. The people inside the cities are dependent, and dependent on the grocery store, dependent on the sewer system, dependent on the water supply, dependent. They have to do what they're told. They're not even cities, they're prisons onto themselves. And the city folk have been proven psychologically to do what they're told with more than anybody who's living in the urban areas.
Yeah. I remember me and my partners just watched oh, what was the film called? A Quiet Place. It's
Yeah.
a new film that's just come out, which again I think it's based in New York. And it's basically what it is about is I'm trying to think. It's like it was just
I know what it is. It was
gobsmacking.
this wasn't it that sound triggers the
Yeah,
monsters to
sound
come
triggers
come out
like
of
the
the.
aliens or something like
Yeah.
that. It was like an alien invasion, wasn't it? And like it was weird. It's like the burning like the army were actually um bombing the bridges. So literally they were cutting like Manhattan off. And it was like, so basically the people were actually trapped there until like unless they could get, a boat out of New York. But like what you say, it's with the sounds. And I'm thinking, is that another thing? Like when I was watching it, I was like, well, I remember when we were all there was face mask mandates, and it was like, well, basically you're putting them on people so they can't talk. They can't talk about what's really going on. Because obviously everyone was scared that there was this virus and people were dying left, right, and centre. Um, so yeah, if you haven't seen it, yeah, watch it. It's a really good film, but yeah. So do you think that's another thing? Obviously, because after COVID, we had like the Ukraine war, things like that. So do you think, like, obviously through propaganda and media, is it more um is it just one thing after another, like trendy lifestyle selling us products to like control us? Obviously, like with the likes of scaring us, with obviously like not, now you're looking on the news and you've got obviously the politics with the Trump shooting, um obviously with that's a lot to do with gun laws, but also it we've got a lot of the likes of terror attacks happening again. Like obviously it recently in the UK, in Southport, funnily enough, not far from me, is obviously the Southport stabbings happens of where they killed those young girls.
Mhm.
Do you think that's what it is? Is it one thing after another just to sort of again keep us all in fear?
Well,
Or
it's being shown that if you can put the public in fear, they lose their previous memories and their previous conditioning. And so it's about keeping them in fear to keep control over them. So yes, this group knows that you constantly have to drown the public in a tsunami of fear to keep them under control. And a great example of this is what's called battered woman syndrome. So you have an abusive husband, and the actual phrase battered woman syndrome isn't about the man battering the woman.
yeah,
It's the man giving the woman time to recover from the trauma and the beatings. And then that phrase, battered woman syndrome, is a legal defense when the female kills her attacker or kills her
yeah,
abuser. So this is what they don't do. This is what the ruling group do not want. They want to never give us enough time to recover, never give us enough time to process the trauma, keep the beatings daily, whether we need them or not, keeping the trauma weekly, whether we need it or not, because eventually if we recovered our strength, and this is all connected, strength is
yeah,
the solution to this group's tyranny. But if we ever recovered, if they don't abuse us and traumatize us on a regular basis, then we find our strength today and their puppet show is over. So yes, all of these things are completely connected. I'm not saying that potentially the three people were
yeah.
stabbed on instructions of someone else, but those three people, they're going to really throw it into the media and it's going to ignite a firestorm.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
in the States, I mean, there's people getting shot all the time, but maybe there's 20 people shot throughout the US every day, but there's millions of amazingly good things that happen. But if you focus on the 20 people shot, you traumatize the public day in and day out. And that's the public that's easier to mind control.
Yeah, definitely. Because obviously, like you say, there's people who get stabbed every day in the UK, and when this happens, obviously it was it was sort of a shock because it's like literally it's about 15-minute drive from me, but you don't expect that to happen because
Mhm.
where it was just like it's a nice area, but then like I remember watching the news and the news was like usually news is on for about half an hour, but it was going on for about 2 hours. Like keep on going about like what's happened, who the potential attacker was, um and obviously things like that. It's like the repetitiveness, like you were saying, is like okay, right, this has happened. I'm not condoning obviously what happens because obviously a lot of people have been affected, especially the families of those three little girls and the rest of the people who were there. But I look at it and I go, well, to be honest, it's like that's what sort of I think what that happened was that sparked the riots. I don't know if you saw,
Absolutely, I
yeah,
saw what was there. Yeah.
what was happening, but it's weird. It's like because it started like this, um, like you say, firestorm of riots, and it was like, okay, well, after the attack, Keir Starmer came And I remember watching him place down these flowers, obviously at the site of the attack. And basically, he could have turned around then and said, "Right, I've only been in power a few weeks, but I'm going to sort this." But he didn't say one word to the public, and he completely ignored the people. And there was people there who know the victims of, obviously, and their families. And I do look at this, and it's like, obviously, like, it's not just the UK who are getting immigrants in, it's obviously Europe, America, um, things like that. And it's just like what gets me is like, what are these guys here for? Because like you're housing these in hotels, but also you're paying for them through our taxpayers' money. But you can't house the homeless on our streets, which I don't really get. I saw a video of our UK government saying the other day there's going to be 5,000 hotel beds ready at any point for any more immigrants who are coming over to the UK. And I'm thinking, yeah, but you can't even house the homeless. And obviously, with like inflation and the cost of living is going up and up and up, like your normal, everyday, hardworking people are struggling more and more. But
Yeah, and this is, Rachel, this is where, the deep research really should come in. And you know a good family who does a lot of deep
yeah,
research. And this is where we have to understand is that what we understand as government. Now, I'm a mind control and brainwashing expert. I've spoke at the European Parliament, the Romanian Palace of the Parliament. I spoke at the US Senate. I'm speaking at the Japanese Parliament coming up at the end of September. But I also read and understand the bigger picture. And I do
yeah,
a lot of research into our ancient past. What we have as governments around the world today is not government.
yeah.
It's actually a religion. It's a
Hmm.
religion of misery. The currency that religion of misery is charged with extracting from the public is, the misery is the currency. The
Yeah,
misery is the result. So everything this religion does in every country, and what it looks like governments, but it's not. It's actually an ancient religion from the Middle East that has odd belief systems about what energies, vibrations, and frequencies come off humans that are in unhappy, miserable, in panic, and are in terror.
yeah,
And the more we understand that is that our misery is the goal of this ancient religion, everything can be explained, and it gives us our sort of our instructions of what to do. We cannot let a religion based on impregnating the society with absolute misery and premature death rule over us anymore. This is the most dangerous religion in the world, and government is a religion. It's like a death cult, and it's disguised in $3,000 suits. And we've been really hornswoggled over the last, ever since we all flew out of the womb. And I think if we want to reach the conclusion that we need to reach, we really need to reach it. This is not just government corruption. This is actually the function of government, is to extract pain frequency, terror frequency, and misery frequency from the people of this planet.
yeah, definitely. That's what it seems to be. It seems to be like everything's doom and gloom. And like even on the news in the UK, they might put like one tiny positive story right at the end, just to sort of cheer everyone up after literally about an hour of doom and gloom in the news. It's just ridiculous. Um, so obviously, in my opinion, they're targeting the kids as they're the next generation. Do we need to educate our kids our own way of life as well as their school education, or do you reckon it's better to homeschool them and keep them out of state education.
Well, it's complex simply because it's set up to be complex.
Yeah,
The way the taxation works, the way the inflation works, the money printing works, the way the banks have offered subprime interest rates for 20 years before they attacked the public with the COVID operation. People don't have the time or the money to homeschool their own
yeah,
children. But it's still imperative to consider it and at least to inform your children about what the school is for. The
hmm,
school's there to indoctrinate them. The school's there to literally impregnate them with 3 or 4 major ideas hidden and disguised in all the curriculum. Is the LGBTQ,
yeah,
sort of going toward the no gender situation where they want basically only one gender eventually. It takes long term for them to birth their ideas, but that's where it's going. Critical race theory, climate change. These are the big three, and it'll be
yeah,
intertwined through all the curriculum. And it's there to impregnate lies into the children so they live out those lies in their adult years. And if you can just say, look, I'm sorry to be sending you here. It's really a brainwashing camp. And they also want the kids to believe that their parents are, you know, not intelligent, have wrecked the world,
yeah,
and the kids are going to be the heroes of the next generation to come in with the green agenda, inclusivity, and safety for all, and wipe the slate clean once and for all, which is exactly what they taught me when I was in university
yeah,
and in school. So they always teach people to, belittle the adults and tell the kids that they're the smartest people on the planet. This is why we have Greta Van, what's Greta's last name? I can't,
Thunberg, Greta Thunberg,
Greta
yeah,
Thunberg. And it's always about promoting kids as the leaders, right? This
yeah,
12-year-old's going to lead us somewhere. This 8-year-old is going to lead us somewhere. The adults of the world are too stupid to change. We're going to really take control of the next generation in order to save the planet. Tell your kids that that's the agenda if you can't afford to keep them home. I
yeah,
tell my child, she's in a university, she knows those are the big 3 agendas. I told her, just learn to make your own bed when you're in university and make your own food, and don't die because your mother's not there to take care of you. That's the only thing I can hope for in sending her to school. And she has to really keep her head down and watch herself, because these agendas can penetrate you if you're not careful.
yeah, definitely. As I look at it, it's obviously like you say with the kids, is it targeting the mental health of kids, and that's what's causing this like self-sabotage of the human spirit, and to stop people's free thinking. Um, like I was saying before, like they'd rather go with the majority, and like as in my opinion, it starts to weaken people like obviously during COVID we saw a lot of women standing up. Is it more about weakening the men and like you say, um sort of targeting the next generation, but also um weakening the adults to sort of get this like one gender that they actually want?
Yes, again, these are the priming possibilities that were definitely enacted on the public 20 or 30 years or even 40 years before they attacked in 2020. So yes, any population you want to take over, you have to weaken and eliminate men. So there are
Yeah,
certain chemicals like atrazine and BPA that either feminize men. Even BPA is proven to abort males conceived in the womb. And if a male happens to get through that chemical barrier and is born, the male would be more feminized through BPA infusion, or atrazine has also been proven to sexually confuse research animals. So all of this barrage is being pushed on the males. Females have their own barrage of mind control and chemical tinkering, but the tinkering and the psychological barrage directed at men are to weaken men, make them feminine, make them weak. They don't want to stand up, and they don't have a lot of testosterone. Testosterone is actually a hormone that makes you rageful when you need to. You're very strong, and you're more
Yeah.
prone to risk taking. And actually, it's kind of like a I don't give a shit chemical. Like
Yeah.
if you're low on if you're high on testosterone, like, oh, the cops are going to get you. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like a male that has his proper testosterone, that's sort of like the motto he lives by, not because he's psychologically imbalanced, because of the power of this hormone. And if you lower the hormone and make the men feminine like we have today, and this is sort of being done slowly over time, it's
Yeah,
like the
definitely.
Fabianistic approach, but the women notice more than anybody. I mean, there's not a lot of strong men around. There's not a lot of tall men. There's a lot of overweight and fat men that don't even care about themselves. They don't take care of themselves. They're addicted to video games, marijuana, and they'll wear like another man's jersey on the back of their, on their, but like as a man, at least can we not pretend we're another strong man? Can we at least take the jersey off of our hero as
Yeah.
adult men? I don't mind kids wearing them for positive role modeling, saying, I want to be a strong athlete. But for, a man with a beer gut to have a Ronaldo shirt on his back, I mean,
Yeah.
this is the ultimate feminization of the males. We really got to understand what's going on here. And these are very important things. Males have to find their way again. And the key again, don't eat their poisons.
Yeah.
Alcohol is a big feminizer. Marijuana is a big feminizer. All these chemicals are big feminizers. So if you want to regain your manhood, your strength, and your proper testosterone level, you got to get healthy.
Well, that's a good tip. um, so in your opinion, how do we get away from all the propaganda and brainwashing of the world? Is it obviously like technology is a massive thing? It can be good, but it's a lot of bad at the same time. Um, would you recommend detoxing from like your mobile phones and laptops and things like that?
Well, the healthy, again, with the 1-2 punch, the mind control, which is usually based on repetition, and the poisons, if you remove the poisons, you change brain function. You're more active as an unpoisoned individual in the prefrontal cortex, which is just behind the forehead, rational part of the brain that's not so susceptible to group pressure. So the more poisoned you are, yeah, you could take a detox from the phone, and you could take it, take absentee from media. But if you're down at the pub having a couple of pints, you don't really care about the poison sprayed on your food that's meant to sterilize you and turn you into a fembot, and
Yeah.
you don't care in the right areas. We have to start understanding that you got to, even if you went out and did absolutely everything you could to be healthy today, there's still a lot of poison that's going to get through and trick even the best of
Definitely.
us. So you really got to take it as a serious sport. Like this is the new sport. You
Yeah.
have to literally understand that even if you're fully organic, you drink only bottled water, get to bed on time, wear the blue blocking glasses at night, and aluminum free
Yeah.
deodorant, and cook with stainless steel pans, they're still going to infiltrate you with their poison. And 40 years ago, you'd be really healthy. And
Yeah.
today there's so many poisons, you're just going to be moderately healthy, trying to be the healthiest you can be. So I
Definitely.
tell people, this isn't the time to screw around with the health concept.
Yeah.
Take it to its fullest extent. You're still going to fall short a little bit. That's why you got to go to the fullest extent. You got to go there.
Yeah, definitely. Because obviously, like a lot of people who I know, even myself, I've literally started um fluoride free toothpaste, bottled water, trying to live healthier than what I have. Like I'm 31, so I'm literally like learning as I go. Obviously, working at Iconic opens your eyes a lot. but
Absolutely.
but yeah, but like you say, it's really hard because like you say, you're still gonna get them poisons. You're still gonna get like certain poisons on your food, and then obviously you bath and shower in their water. But then also like I don't know how it is where you are, but certainly here in the UK, they are literally chemtrailing like nearly every day. So like this summer, we've only really had probably less than a week of sunshine for summer, where years and years ago we used to have a proper summer where it was sunshine, all the kids used to go to the beach and things like that. And like now I think everyone's just getting used to, oh yeah, sun one day and then it's raining for the rest of the week. And I think that's what everyone's just getting used to now.
Well, look, we want to give the people hope. So look, I'm going to offer your audience,
Yeah.
remember my email, okay?
Yeah.
info@jchristoff.com. So it's a single initial J. Christoff is Christ with an OFF on the end. Email me, I'll send you two things. I'll send you a healthy living guide, which will break down all the poisons in your house. You get rid of them, and I'll give you the substitutes as well. And they're inexpensive. Some of them are free. The second thing I will send you is the top 10 mind control tricks of media and government. Request the Healthy Living Guide. Request the top 10 tricks of mind control of media and government. I'll send you both of those, and you'll be eons ahead in this war, because it is a war where they're after your brain, and a
Yeah.
polluted brain, they got you. Like I can't really mince words here. If you're smoking weed, smoking cigarettes, drinking beer, basically ingesting poisons, take out food that would choke a maggot, I think, yeah, you call it takeaway. They got you, and they're gonna manhandle you like a bear manhandled Leonardo DiCaprio in that weird movie that he released about 5 years ago. It's gonna the system will destroy you. And I'll tell you something, that you can't fight the system when you eat the system, when you watch the system, and when you drink the system. You can't fight the system when the system's actually inside of you. In order to make distance between you and the system, the first thing you got to do is get it out of your body. Your body's only like 2 feet wide, 1 foot or less than 1 foot, in girth. You got to at least protect that part of the world from poison, because that's what the system is. It's a poison system.
Yeah.
So just make sure, email me that, and make some headway. If you want to save yourself, save your family, you don't need to go find Keir Starmer, this Illuminati hand puppet. You don't have to
Yeah.
find him. You got to go into your fridge, your cupboards, and at least be honest with yourself and say, look, am I poisoning the shit out of myself by my own hand? If I am, I'm probably doing it because I'm under mind control, especially since I can't stop it. No matter how sick or big or how much cellulite I get or how many diseases I get, I can't seem to stop. Watch my presentation on mind control. I'll teach you how they do it. So, because they know they can't do it by force, so they got to trick you to do it. Now, if you don't do it to yourself, they still don't have the power to come jam the Doritos down your throat. So
Yeah.
you're gonna win, but you have to understand how they trick you to destroy yourself. You got to understand that.
Yeah. In your opinion, do you think us as humanity will ever come together and reunite to beat the system of the world with obviously all this mind control, and live a lot more freely and have more choices as a person?
I think we will. I think it's going to cost us a lot to get there. And as a man, I'm like, yeah, well, I hope so. I hope people wake up and gather the strength. And I know they'll be able to do it if they're healthy. And I mean, I don't trust politicians at all. I think humans would be better with all their money themselves and all their freedom themselves. But I mean, when you see RFK and Donald Trump saying, let's make America healthy again, I don't really enjoy who's saying it, but I know this is the solution. That's the only solution, is that if you cannot corral a strong, independent, high IQ, brain-based culture, you cannot manhandle and manipulate and dominate that culture. If everybody's in motorized scooters with IV bags duct taped to the side, if everybody's a cripple, if everybody's mentally impaired with low IQ and brain damage, yes, you can make that blob of people go into a 15-minute city and blast them all selves off the planet with a new shot batch ingredients. Absolutely. But you'll never do it to a healthy population. The solution isn't protest or burning down buildings. The solution is, again, your own kitchen, your own cupboards, your own habits. Rule the 2-foot by 2-foot country called yourself like a moral and ethical king or queen, and then maybe go to the town square when you've learned your lessons and hardened your resolve on your own home field. This is the solution.
You run several courses about overcoming self-sabotage and mind control. Where can people find you, and how can people access those courses?
Well, basically, my website is jchristoff.com, and it's better for them just to email me personally at info@jchristoff.com. I'll put them on my email system because we only promote and open access to my programs a couple times per year. We don't advertise all the time. So we'll slow drip the information about mind control, brainwashing, the solutions, secrets about health, secrets about weight loss that they don't want anybody to know. And then when the program's open, they'll be intertwined in the email system for a couple of weeks, and then they go away until the next time we open. So email me at info@jchristoff.com. Get on my private email list because I'm not allowed to tell the truth on social media. So if you really want the truth about these frequency-based, demonic, satanic forces that are behind what we believe is government, but it's an ancient religion from the Middle East that basically its job is to make us miserable and die painful, premature lives. I can't say that stuff on social media. You got to get on my email list. And I'm not going to just talk about it. I'm going to prove it. And that's why you want to be on the list.
Well, thanks very much, Jason, for your time. And I've definitely advised the watchers to get on your email list because I certainly am. But I really appreciate your time, and we finally got there to actually have an interview. So yeah, no, I really appreciate it. Thank
Well,
you.
thanks, Rachel, for allowing me to speak to your audience today, and have a great day.